Yes, sure.
Sorry.
Okay. You may now begin, Donald.
Okay, why don't we begin? I'm assuming we have folks here. So let me start. So welcome May 14th, 2025 meeting. Baltimore County Design Review Panel is called to order. I'm the acting chair, Donald Can. We'll start with the roll call. And if you are present, please say aye. Mr. Sharma?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Stevens?
Aye.
Mr. Walters? Mr. Walters?
Don't see him on here yet.
Okay. And Jamie Kahn, if I'm saying it right.
You are saying it right.
Thank you. Well, I think we should be okay to start the meeting. We have a quorum. Ms. Nugent, are there any changes to the tentative agenda that was published?
There was one change to the agenda, and it is shown here at the bottom on item number 3, per the applicant's request for 700 Eastern Boulevard. That project will be presented at the June meeting.
Okay, very good. So we have 2 items tonight. One more piece of business here at the April 11th. I'm sorry, we have minutes of the April 9th meeting that were shared with the members here. Hopefully everyone who is a member tonight has an opportunity to review those minutes. Are there any corrections to those minutes from the April 9th meeting? Not hearing any. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, very good. It's a requirement of the county that we read an opening statement for the record, which is as follows. Title 4, Subtitle 2, Part 1, Sections 32-4-203 and 32-4-204 established at the Design Review Panel. It was established to encourage design excellence and shall act in a consulting and advisory capacity to the agencies involved in the process of reviewing development plans. The objectives for the DRP's assessment include spatial, visual, and functional relationships to the topographic characteristics, the natural and built features of the site, as well as surrounding features of the site. Visual and functional integration of streetscapes, pedestrian pathways, playgrounds, recreational amenities, and parks. Streets and sidewalks are laid out in a safe and convenient manner, and parking is a positive design element. Building, parking garages, and other structures are spatially and visually integrated and suitable to their surroundings in proportion, massing, and type of materials and colors. Signage and other elements of urban design. The plant materials are selected and cited to define the site, provide a theme, frame a view, enhance architecture and street character, improve microclimate, provide transition between dissimilar trees, screen objectionable views and uses, and reduce noise levels and glare. In carrying out its duties, the DRP utilizes the guidelines, plans, and architectural principles in the Comprehensive Manual of Development Policies and/or the Master Plan, as well as other guidelines and regulations adopted into law. Certain areas of the county were designated by the County Council to require review by the DRP. The panel will provide a technical review of the proposed project. issues relative to zoning, setback relief, environmental and stormwater management, and traffic regulations do not fall under the purview of the DRP and are regulated through the appropriate agencies responsible for those aspects of the development plan review process. The panel consists of 9 members. All are professionals with practical knowledge in the matters of design. For purposes of making recommendations on a particular project, 3 members shall constitute a quorum. The attendance and comments of each member shall be recorded in the minutes, which shall be an open record and available along with all documents submitted to the panel for inspection and copying by the public. There will be an opportunity for the community to offer comments and suggestions at the conclusion of the applicant's presentation. These comments will also be included in the written record of the meeting. When a speaker is called up to speak, please keep your comments focused on design perspectives within your allotted 2 minutes time. If you're speaking on behalf of a community group, you will get 5 minutes. At the conclusion of the meeting, the Department of Planning will sum up the recommendations of the panel for a motion for a vote as is suggested. Recent legislation has changed the panel's recommendations to be advisory on the hearing officer and the various county agencies, unless the hearing officer agencies find that panel's actions constitute an abuse of its discretion or unsupported by the documentation and evidence presented. Disposition of the plan will be determined as either approved with conditions, or require an additional review with a second meeting required. So with all that on the record, we are ready to have our first applicant. Did we, I'm looking at all my papers here. Did Mr. Walters arrive?
I
Not
did.
yet.
I did. Sorry for being late.
Okay, but you're here. Good. Thank you. Okay, so now, so we're ready to open our agenda. And the number 1 item is at 3 Hollins Avenue for a residential review. And if the presenter would go ahead and present this project for us to review.
Great. Hey, everyone. My name is Rhea Neal. I'm the architect on the 3 Hollins Avenue project, and I'll be presenting this evening on behalf of our homeowner and our landscape architect who is on this project with us. So this is a great place for us to start. This is our site plan where you can see kind of more broadly what is around us. But our site is roughly 6¼ acres large, and north of us sits Lake Roland. We access the site through a relatively winding drive between our various neighbors until we reach the main body of the property. It's a generally very private and secluded lot. Our east neighbor is our closest neighbor to us, which you can sometimes see through the tree line when it's in winter. So we'll run you guys through this presentation and just start high level by saying that we're really thankful for the opportunity to present this, and we're also we're lucky to practice in Baltimore with you guys, where we can tell that there is a wealth of architecture in this community, a lot of quality work, and a lot of great people preparing that work. And so our effort in taking on this project for our client was to create something that would fit well within the community and tie into that language, be respectful of the parameters set forth by the DRP in Baltimore County. And of course, as the architect, it's our job to find the balance between those regulations and also the nuances of our client's needs when we develop this design. Fortunately, our client has good taste, and the property has been inspired by a Cotswold estate. So currently on the property is an existing house which will be entirely demolished. There is also some existing structures, which we can see in these images. Thank you, Jennifer. There is an existing detached garage, which is the photos in the upper left-hand side. This will be remaining. To the greatest extent possible, we're trying to marry with the existing site, treat it as our canvas, and revitalize what's there. So this garage is intended to remain as is, and just cleaned up so that it can be used once more. The existing pool on the property is the same intent. Eventually, it will also be repaired, but it is existing and intended to remain. You're starting to see kind of all corners of our property from the various four corners of the house. So there is the existing house, which will be gone. And you can see some of our existing vegetation, which we have also, to the greatest extent possible, kept and have tried to revitalize their growth. So this next sheet starts to show some of the material language of our neighbors, which we studied to great extent to make sure that what we were proposing was in continuity with our neighbors, and it wasn't a foreign piece, but something that was natural and timeless and would fit well with everything. So there's a variety of materials, but if we go to the next page, we can clearly see some of the stone language, for example, some of the roof material, some of the massing, which is generally around a 2-story, sometimes a 3-story house with tall gable forms. These are some examples of what our materials will be, which is looking at a blend of natural materials, a preference for limestone, which will be a more neutral colored on those bottom two right-hand sided images, a reclaimed brick, which you see on the bottom left, and then the use of natural wood for siding, copper roof, and a synthetic slate shingle. We put those all together. We'll skip through these specifications and go to our rendering. So thank you, Jennifer. So you can see how these actually apply to the house. And this is, we'll get to our architectural drawings, but this really gives you the best sense of what this house is going to look like. So this is the front of the house. And it appears as a 2-story residence. So here we're looking at the 2 stories. It is an 8,875 square foot house, and that includes covered porches and patios. On the back, it will start to appear more of as a 3-story as we embed into the existing grade, which starts to slope northward. And though we're taking out the existing house, we are situating into the land similar to the way that it did, which it had a daylit basement on the lower level. So this is the back of the house. We can continue forward into our actual drawing set. So within our architectural drawings, we get into the specifics of exactly what's falling within the house, the sizing and scaling of those pieces. This is our basement level floor plan, and then we go up to our first floor plan, which holds the main living and master and guest suites. And then up to the second floor, which holds our secondary bedrooms. On our exterior elevations, you can see more specifically where our materials are called out. So as we look at the front elevation, we are predominantly a limestone fronted facade with a timber porch covered entry. And as we transition to the sides of the house, we do kind of appropriately scale back the materiality. And so we start to introduce a brick water table with a wood siding veneer. And then as we reach the back of the house, which looks northward towards Lake Roland, we have, we reintroduced some more of the stone and just emphasize the strength of those 3 main gables. But it's still complemented on the west facing side as we return back to that balance of a water table and siding veneer above it. This is a wall section, or a building section, forgive me, where we represent how we are utilizing the existing grade to daylight the basement. So with the grade at the low point, which you can see on the left side of the drawing, is where we're going to be able to daylight some of the lower spaces of the house. But on the right-hand side where the grade is higher is where the house will appear as more of a 2-story space. So this will help explain some of what I said earlier, but you can see the existing detached garage to the right-hand side of the house and then the existing pool north of the house. All of those will remain. Yes, those two. This is showing the existing house footprint, which will be removed. We should have 3 trees right there with the big X's on them that will be removed, but all others are intended to remain. So here is our proposed site plan with the new house situated in a very, very close location of the existing house. It will be tying into the existing driveway as it was, and it will be adding a new garden to the left-hand side of the house, which you can see defined by some retaining walls. And those walls and the placement of them have been intentional so as to keep the existing trees to the north and south, since they are so mature and very, very important to keep. So if we need to get into any specifics on, exact trees and species, we can. This is all shown in the drawings. Here is an additional section showing how that courtyard integrates with the grade and the vegetation around it. And this is our planting plan where we start to call out the design of all those plantings, always striving to be something that is in tune with the site, that we know is going to perform well climatically using native species. And I think that probably sums up the majority of what we wanted to present. We're happy to answer any questions, but our effort in this has been to create something that was going to be nuanced for our clients' needs, but respectful of the Baltimore County regulations and community. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. Very good. So at this time, do we have anybody from the community that signed up to speak?
Beth,
There's
do you have anybody?
there's no one in the chat, but I thought Mr. Owens was gonna speak on both, so I'm not sure how.
Okay, so Donald, it's my understanding that Mr. Owens is a representative of the Ruxton Riderwood Community Association. And so we can have him speak on behalf of the association. He gets 5 minutes.
That would be fine. Sure.
And I will do a timer.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
There you go.
All right. So my name is David Owens. I'm on the board of the Ruxton Riderwood Lake Roland Improvement Association, and we're happy to be here and make some comments on this property. So just a quick personal note, I grew up at 4 Hollins Avenue, which is right in front of this property. And one of my best friends lived there, and it's a dear, and it is a special property. So I'm sad to see the old house, being torn down, but this new house is spectacular. So, I have nothing but praise for that. So the Ruxton Riderwood Association, we did receive the DRP submittal package. It was about 20 days prior to this hearing. We contacted all the neighbors, surrounding neighbors that have visual impact on the property by email and or by letter. Anybody that called in and requested plans, we sent them plans. We had no serious comments or concerns, raised back by the neighbors. So we felt there was no need to actually have a meeting with the architect and the community, since there was nobody that expressed any desire to talk to them. So as far as Ruxton Riderwood is concerned, we have no objections to this plan. We are a little concerned about the demolition of properties, and ask that any salvage or components be donated to the appropriate place so they can be reused, so reused or recycled. So other than that, we're happy to approve this plan.
Very good. We appreciate it, and we, as always, appreciate the architects and developers to talk to the community and have that open process. So we appreciate that in both directions. Very good. So if there are no other public comments, then we would welcome comments from our staff, from the panel rather. And I think our residential reviewer speak first, Mr. Khan.
Oh, very good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one quick question. I believe I know the answer, but I just wanted to confirm. There are no variances required to move forward with this project. Is that correct?
That's correct. We are not applying for any variances.
Okay. Based on the input that I've gotten from the association and the feedback from the neighbors, we have no objection to this project. It's one of those that just really works well into this area, and it's a big enough lot that it can support construction of this size. So there's no point from our perspective of delaying it, and we're supportive of it moving forward.
Thank you.
Very good. So do any other of our couple of panel members have any comments that they'd like to pass on about this project, or any of the landscaping comments? Does anybody have something they want to add to the conversation or ask the architect?
This is Scott Walters. I just wanted to say thank you for coming. And there's a level of refinement and maturity to the three gables within the architecture. I think it's really well crafted. So I just wanted to say thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate that.
And this is James Stevens, and I must say I must mimic the same words. The architecture expresses very well for that site, and as far as the grouping of the gables and the chimneys, I mean, everything works well. So I have no outstanding comments other than what's been said.
Thank you so much. I owe my homeowner a lot of props. She was a big proponent of this form.
It works well.
And Mr. Sharma, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, happy community, everyone happy. So I'll not put the comment. It's good.
Yes. I had one question about the trees that are being removed. Can you mention that more carefully, just for the record?
Yes, there. Maybe continue, Jennifer, to where we have them clearly marked.
Right.
Thank you, right there. Just these three trees, right where the drive was.
I'm sorry?
Just these three trees here where you see the X's, those are the only three that are being removed.
Right. Is there specific reason for that? That's what's the question.
I believe it's due to their health and some interference with some existing power lines.
Okay. So, and I would add my thoughts to the fact that I think this is looks like a wonderful project, and congratulate you all on making a major effort at following through on the design and all the detailing that you've developed. I think it should be wonderfully successful. So are there any other thoughts from the panel members, or would somebody please make a motion?
Okay, this is James Stevens. I'll make a motion to approve the project.
Okay, do you want to add a note about the recycling just for the record?
Oh, sure. And the note is to incorporate recycling of the materials as they are released from the project.
Any, is there a second for that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. The ayes have it, and we congratulate you and look forward to your progress.
Thank you all so much. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
You
You're
too.
welcome.
Okay. The other item on our agenda tonight is 1309 Ruxton Road. Once again, a residential review. Once again, removing an existing building. So I think at this point, the presenter, please provide us with some information.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and the members of the panel. My name is Vince Green. I'm the architect of record. I'm joined tonight with Will Calvert from our office, as well as Kevin Gaughan, the landscape architect, and Jordan Call, the homeowner. He's also with us this evening. To begin the conversation, there is an existing house on the property that dates back to 1923. That house is in a sad state of repair. We actually started this project as an addition and renovation to it, but it was determined that due to asbestos and a heavy amount of lead paint, that there would be upwards of $400,000 of repairs that would need to happen to the building. And because of that, and because we had an influx of water coming into the basement through an unfortunate driveway design, we immediately started looking at, what possibilities existed for a new house. And that's what's led us here tonight. The existing house is shown on the left. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
No problem. The existing house is shown on the left-hand side of the photographs. And it's comprised of vinyl sidings, aluminum sidings, and has a number of different additions that were done to it at different times. Our plan, our strategy for the new house was to try and create something that felt like it had been there in the middle of this beautiful site in the middle of Ruxton, which the site is actually made up of about 5 different parcels that were consolidated into one. So it almost feels like a site that would have had the manor house on it, before all the other properties were divided to it. So just as a summary for how we started, we tried to create a house that was only slightly larger in size and footprint than the previous house, something that occupied roughly the same part of land that the old house had, and also something that was taking advantage of the curb cut that we have. So I'm going to have Kevin Gaughan talk a little bit about the siting and the site aspects of the house.
Thank you very much, Vince. So yes, my name is Kevin Gaughan from Form Garden Design, and we developed the master plan, and a big portion of that was helping to properly site the location of the new house. I think one thing we were very cognizant of, and as Vince will get into in more detail when he goes over the architecture, is currently the existing house has the front door located on the east side of the property, and we are recommending moving that over to the north side of the house. And with that, we thought it'd be best to, as we're setting the architecture, to actually start to turn the proposed footprint of the house to align with the existing pool that's already there, and also kind of open up that front door to the street entrance. Thank you. We are within this siting also trying to maintain all of the existing large trees that are around the property, which you can see kind of highlighted in the darker black. And then where we are coming through with the new driveway court, which is up at the same elevation as the front of the house, that main level, adding in additional trees to kind of screen back along the street, and add kind of focusing your view to the front of the house as you come into the property. There's a beautiful existing sunken garden off to the back that we are trying hard to maintain and restore, and as well as the large lawn kind of that flowing out from the back of the house. The thought is that the terraces around will be minimal and kind of in the same character as the existing pool terrace of bluestone, and that the plantings will be primarily native around the house.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. So the house was conceived really in two portions. The owners had expressed a desire to have a more formal feel to the entry and the front facade. Formal in as much as, you know, we were trying to work within a painted brick aesthetic. So we were working with a front facade here that was going to show some symmetry. It was going to show some of the aspects of the country houses and manor houses that you find around Ruxton. And it was going to be the centerpiece of what we were doing. It was flanked then on the right-hand side of this drawing, and you'll see in other areas, by a lower garage, which is not detached, but appears as if it could have been. And this ties into a low running porch around the back sides of the house. We wanted the house to look as though it had been added to over time. There are actually aspects of what we're showing here that have materials changing between the garage and the main part of the house. That was done on purpose so that we could have something that gave a sense of maybe an earlier outbuilding that would have been done with less refined materials. We located the house, thank you. We located the house in a way so that we could keep as much of it up at the existing grade as possible. And the only area that is lower than the prevailing grade is shown on this drawing. There is a small entry that goes into that portion of the basement. This was provided because Mr. Call, as a musician, we were trying to provide a studio location for him where he could bring things in and out of the house. And this was also providing us with an egress that we could get out of the basement. So we played this down quite a bit. It's actually slightly below the level of Ruxton Road. That's its adjacency. And instead, what we wanted to do was to increase or make more prominent the decks that you're seeing, the balconies that are on the left-hand side. We wanted those to be interactive with the street. We wanted that same intimacy that happens right now between the front door of the house and Lower Ruxton Road. We wanted to still maintain that energy in some way. So we created a two-level deck balcony situation. The lower one off the main living area, the upper one off the owner's suite. In the background here, you can see the idea for the garage. The garage is actually not occupied on the second story. It is connected to the house by a storm porch, which we investigated as a potential open space, but decided against that because we didn't necessarily want to have people coming to a side door as so close to the front door. In this scenario, just so we can get our hands around this, the existing house that we're proposing to take down was about 3,400 square feet of living space. And the new house, the above grade living space, is about 4,500. So it's roughly 1,100 square feet bigger than the old house, which we've been trying as a concerted effort to keep it as small as possible. Next slide, please. This is the rear of the house. It shows the main living space on the first floor with kitchen and living. You You can see on the second floor, the primary form in the middle is the owner's suite upstairs. And running around on the left-hand side, you'll see a porch area that looks as if it might have been infilled from the older days. And that porch area runs around and ties into the garage. It's punctuated at the corner by a sunroom, which is the octagonal shape you're seeing over there. And then finally, the actual rear of the property, the side that is to the west. This is actually showing again the rear entrance. We made that a hidden entrance around the corner from the garage, and a guest suite, and also to the right you'll see that sunroom again, which its main objective is to interact with the pool, which is only a few paces down that length. This section just gives you an idea of where we are in relation to grade. You can see that the house is sitting pretty much at prevailing grade. We like a lot of our designs to step their way up if possible, so that we can maintain a sense of scale in the outside areas nearby. And I think that you can see that we're using porch elements on both the left and the right of this drawing, as well as the smaller elements of the garage and the connection. This is a longitudinal section, just again showing the difference. You can see on the lower right hand where the grade, the prevailing grade is running. You can see that prevailing grade runs down to Ruxton Road, and that we're creating a small walkout area there, which again is somewhat hidden. It will plan to be hidden to a greater extent by the inclusion of some extra trees. Our floor plans, again, really set up on the first floor. It's a flowing situation, both from the formal entry and the main access, as well as the entry from the garage side. You can see that there's a T implied in here, and that T in the formal block is really what becomes the upstairs. So we can look at that for a second. The next slide, please. Here's the upstairs section. So you can see that what we tried to do was to step our way down as we got into those outside areas. And frankly, those exteriors at the bottom of the page are the ones that are closest to the neighbors. So again, we felt strongly that we needed to keep the two-story aspect of the formal block of the house set back as much as possible from the western neighbors. And the attic space, which is primarily under roof attic trusses, but there is a section in the very center and a stair running up to it, so that if they decide they want to develop that area as a playroom, the owners would have that ability. Existing house is about 20, I want to say our guess is 27 feet tall for the existing house. The proposed house is a little over 34 feet tall, and that's really only in that section in the middle of the block. And then, I'm sorry, yeah, that was a quick shot at the basement, which if anyone wants to better understand the connectivity to the studio, that's just at that end of the plan at the top. There are no other exits or areaways or window wells around the house. And then for materials, what we had considered here, actually there's some of the materials are similar to ones on the existing house. Painted brick obviously was one of the things that we had talked about with the owners from the early days. A slate look-alike shingle, an architectural shingle that has a slate quality to it, an off-white or ivory tone to everything with slightly darker shutters, slightly darker bronze railings in places. It's really meant to be a house that has two characters to it, one being a little more formal than the other, which we find in Ruxton quite often when we have broken off outbuildings or we have houses that have been added to over the decades. So most of the details here, while not as opulent as the last project we looked at, most of the details and materials we're using here are meant to be of a higher quality than the house that's currently on the site. And a few computer images of what we were considering here from various aspects. The upper left one is the idea, at least the beginnings of the idea of how we would have the landscape and parking applied. The upper right is a shot from the pool, obviously looking back towards the house. The lower left is a shot from Lower Ruxton Road as if no trees exist. And actually a whole tree line exists on that run. and then an overall sense of this hidden garden, which is down at the bottom of the lower right-hand image, and how the house is perched there to take advantage of that, just like the existing one does. So that's to summarize, those are the salient points we were trying to get across. The house has not been developed and detailed to its fullest extent, as you saw in the previous project drawings, but we did want to get in front of the panel as soon as possible and see if we were headed in the right direction. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Have we had anybody from the community offer to speak?
I don't think anybody besides Mr. Owens again, unless Brett, did you get anybody?
No, I did not.
Okay. So again, we could give Mr. Owens 5 minutes on behalf of Ruxton Riderwood.
Okay.
Okay, hello again. So I'm David Owens, with board member with the Ruxton Riderwood Lake Roland Improvement Association. So we did receive the DRP submittal from Myers Green exactly 15 days prior to the hearing. So that was close. It took a lot of encouragement to get them on time, but they did. And we notified all the neighbors surrounding the property by letter or by email, depending on what contact information we had. There was no serious concerns raised by any of the neighbors. We didn't feel any need to have a meeting with the architect or the community since there were really no issues to be addressed. I agree that they've done a great job in sort of mimicking the existing house that's there and sort of providing another manor house, kind of quote unquote manor house on that property. It is a tough site with this very steep grade that falls off towards Ruxton Road in the back. So I'm sure that was a real challenge, but I think you've done a great job. So again, we would recommend that any demolition, in any demolition, you try and salvage any components that are worth salvaging, so that we can, keep recycling the earth. So based on that, the Ruxton Riderwood has no objections to this plan as submitted.
Very good. We thank you, Mr. Owens. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it.
And no one else. Okay. So once again, we'll go back to the panel, and Mr. Khan, you have an opportunity to speak first, if you can, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of quick questions. I tend to agree. I think this is a property that kind of warrants a house like this. I think it's well designed and will fit in well with the community. I have a couple of quick questions, though. First of all, as I asked before, no variances are required for this, I believe. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir. We don't need any variances, and by changing the location of the front door, it actually places the pool in the rear yard, which is where it was supposed to be in the first place.
Okay. If I look at site plan 2, would site plan 2 show me where the existing house is versus where the new house will be placed?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I have a pretty small copy, so I just wanted to confirm that that's what I was looking at in site plan 2.
Yeah, there is a dashed line that shows, right where if you look where the front door is shown on our design, you'll encounter a dashed line, which is sort of an.
I have it on the screen, Jamie, if you want to look on the
Okay,
screen.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, I just wanted to confirm that that's what I was looking at. And so, I mean, it's certainly moving the house. I'm not sure that's I think it's probably to the advantage of the properties that it is being moved that way, but it is some substantial movement. But the feedback from the community, as I understand it, has been that they're fine with that change. Understand what you're trying to do with the garage, and understand the materials for the house itself. But do realize that or at least on the drawing, it appears that the garage is going to be of a different material. What on your materials list will that garage be Um, uh,
Our
what
plan,
materials are you using for that? I'm sorry.
yeah, it's fine. Our plan was to use a cedar shingle for the garage, you know, for that time period. You know, it's so funny that cedar shingles were oftentimes used for the less, you know, the less higher hierarchy, if you will, the less important structure. But that's what we were thinking. We love the idea of the texture of that, sir. We like the idea that against, you know, as a foil against the painted brick, that it would actually provide a little more color and texture and a little more nuance. So that was our plan, and it still, you know, it would be undergoing to some extent some color studies.
Okay. Would we have an opportunity to review that, or at least have it discussed with the community prior to final selection? Because typically, you know, we would like, if the board is okay with this, you know, we like to see what it's going to be, not what we think it's going to be, but, you know, subject to some modification. Again, I'm not suggesting it needs to come back to DRP, but, you know, maybe it could be reviewed by the community or discussed with the community. As it, you know, as that, where that sits, it will have a significant visual impact on what the house looks like.
Definitely, and you know, we're just as concerned about it as anybody. So I think the answer to your question would be, in most of these scenarios, we will put up a sample wall, if you will, a small sample wall where we're combining all of those materials. I think for Jordan and Michelle, this would be an opportunity also for them to see it in the actual lighting that it's going to have in, you know, in real life, you know, up front. So we can either submit information back to the DRP on that, or we can create a sample wall, which we probably would have been doing anyway.
You know, I'm just asking for the panel to consider having it returned to Fran for a look prior to construction on that. Is it the thought that it would be either natural or whitewashed, or are you thinking a true color there?
No, we're thinking it would be more of a natural. It's a very muted tone, Mr. Khan. What we're thinking is that it would be. We had it shown actually on our materials board as something that's called wicker wheat or something like that. But you can see, I'm sorry, wool skein. So if you look down on that, thank you very much, Ms. Nugent. You see the shingles there that are shown. That's the tone we were thinking. So a very not dissimilar from the color of the painted brick, but something that actually where every shingle would have a slightly different look.
Okay. Again, if it's something along those lines, I can't imagine anybody would have an objection, but if it's modified significantly, I think it'd be something that we would at least ask for a friend to have an opportunity to look at. You mentioned, and we really appreciate it, your notation of the second floor of the garage not having living quarters. Would that have utilities in the garage?
It's likely to have electricity, and there will certainly be hose bibs, but there's no anticipation right now of plumbing for anything on a second floor. We're probably, just for cost purposes, we'll probably end up trussing the second floor. So I think it's safe to say that, you know, our ability to get anybody up there in the future is unlikely.
Okay, so it will not have plumbing facilities. It will not have kitchens or anything along those lines there.
Correct, sir.
Okay. No, I have no objection. I think it's a great project, and congratulations. And you know, we look forward to seeing the project move forward. So thank you all for presenting, and a job well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have opportunity for other members of the panel to offer any thoughts. Anyone wanna?
Yeah, this is James Stevens. I guess I have a question pertaining to, I guess, on the basement, the exit from the studio space into that walk area, are we talking about that's two masonry retaining walls on either side, and the actual pavers is still, are we still using the bluestone pavers?
Yes, I think the answer to that question is that we were very sensitive to the notion that we did not want to create the impression that that was going to be a main entrance to the house. So we specifically are picking materials and actually grading it in a way where, while it would be advantageous for somebody to park on the street and get things in that way, we don't want to encourage people thinking that that's an entrance. So to answer your question, whether it's bluestone or some other paver, we would want it to have the ability so that Jordan and his fellow musicians could bring things in there easily. But we don't want to make a formal sidewalk. There's a 5-foot right of way that's running along Ruxton Road. It's shown in here on a dotted line. And that's because there's really not a lot of width in the road there, and a lot of people walk up and down that area. So we are very sensitive, to what's happening along there, and just didn't want to do anything that we felt would be encouraging people to want to come in there.
Okay. I was just really glancing at the elevated southeast perspective, the bird's eye view of that house. And it just seems like that had, a very different flavor from the overall house. But I get it.
Yeah, probably that shot right there. Thank you, Ms. Nugent. That shot is probably the best thing for you to see, because the other one that we were looking at from down below really, had a very raked perspective to it. It was, you were kind of looking at it in an elongated manner. If you look at it here, you can see that the land is sloping down the way. We probably will end up with some small retaining walls. We purposefully made the doors look more like, potting shed doors as opposed to, entry doors. And we even put the little shed roof element over it because we wanted it to be in shadow a lot of the time. So there were some thoughts given to that, and I think those will continue to be refined as we move forward.
Okay. That's it for me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Sharma, Mr. Walters, any thoughts?
No, thank you. I don't have any comment.
Yeah, same with me. No comments. Appreciate it.
Okay. I'd like to, couple of things, I think. One is, I think that from my perspective, reorienting the house makes a lot of sense. And I think I applaud that. It just, the way the site works and the way the access works, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think whatever motion we make, I think there are probably three things on my mind that somebody should make a motion. One is the idea that there's no future plans for the use of the second floor area, if there is one, of the garage. One is that we decide that perhaps a final selection of materials and colors be at least reviewed by the staff and the community prior to actually building something on the site. And then the third thing, which I raise many times, is the decision about shutters, and shutters being complementary to the width of whatever opening they're adjacent to. So I would suggest that with the staff, you reconsider the decision of where you put shutters and where you may not put shutters. Some openings have them, some don't, but I would think that you'd want to reconsider those. So, and
the shutters that are shown, Mr. Chairman, on the double wide windows would actually have been bifolds. So we have sized them to be operable. Whenever we have units, as you'll see on the lower Ruxton Road side, you'll see that we have a triple unit that has no shutters on it. That's because we could never have reached them. So we understand the comment. We run into it a lot on our work, and it's definitely something that we're sticklers about as well.
very good. So would someone like to make a motion to what I just almost did as a motion?
May I just say something before a motion is made?
Sure.
Just if people are unsure about a motion, and I think you said this in your opening statement about doing an approval with conditions. So the things that you said out loud would be those conditional items. potentially, is just kind of what I'm pointing out to the panel. Could be considered conditions, right? That's all.
So can someone try to put all that back together? All right. I will make the motion then. I move that we approve this project with conditions. Their conditions would be that the architects review the final material selection and colors with the community and with the staff prior to any construction happening, that they would define that there would be no use for the second level of the garage, that they would consider taking existing materials that can be recycled from the removal of the existing building and recycle those appropriately, and that the details that are finally decided on for the shutters at least be carefully reviewed with the staff as well. Is there a second or other comments?
I second.
Thank you. Any other comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry to
Aye.
interrupt, Donald. As the chair, pursuant to the rules, I don't think you're allowed to make the motion. I think one of the other panel members have to.
Brett, it's,
Very good. My mistake. So, would somebody else like to make the motion, please, so we can move along?
I'll make the motion to approve this project with the following comments. One, for the design team to review the final selections of materials and colors with the community and with staff. To state for the record that the second floor of the garage, that there is no second floor for the garage. See, and to review, for the design team to review the details of the shutters with this with staff. And I'm sorry, I forgot the fourth.
I think
Oh, to remove,
appropriately recycle building materials as deemed appropriate.
yes.
And for the design team to recycle the existing building to be demolished as appropriate once construction starts.
very good. Thank you. So, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Okay. So that is approved. And I thank you very much. It's a good project. We look forward to seeing that.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To the best of my knowledge, we have no further business this evening. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you all very much. Good job.
Thank you.
You all. Have a good evening.
You also. Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.